wait time is approximately forever.
We cannot afford to be so politically correct anymore. Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
Please continue to hold for the next available representative.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo.
We appreciate you waiting and waiting. What is it you're waiting for? Do you even know anymore?
These are people who work hard but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Disconnected.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new live stream. Make sure you guys like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We have a lot to talk about tonight, folks. We do. We might be taking some calls later and on the Discord if you guys want to join that. The link is in the pinned chat, redeaglepolitics.com. It's just $5 a month to sign up. No guarantee we're going to have everybody call in that wants to. We're probably only going to take maybe 6 or 7 calls the entire night tonight, but I'm going to be doing more call-in streams, so you guys can basically get in line for that by signing up. And make sure you guys like the stream. Right now, we are currently at 211 likes. I think we can do a little bit better than that. And also, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to use the live chat, you need to be subscribed in order to do so. So, on Saturday, it's a rare Saturday primary, but South Carolina usually does vote on Saturdays for their primaries, and we have the South Carolina Republican primary coming up. We had the South Carolina Democrat primary take place, about a few weeks ago. And while Biden did very well percentage-wise, he did not exactly do that well turnout-wise. He didn't energize a lot of voters to come out and vote for him. And turnout in the Republican primary is anticipated to be absolutely huge. Donald Trump is likely going to win. Currently, the polls are showing Donald Trump with a sizable lead. He leads the aggregate 63.4 to 32.4, which is not really all that bad for Nikki Haley, but people need to understand that's her home state, which makes it awful for Nikki Haley. This is her last potential shot at what she believes to be a moral victory, even though even in that case of a moral victory, she gets absolutely 0 delegates. She doesn't even claim that she's going to win South Carolina. She's not even claiming she wants to win South Carolina. She just wants to have a respectable performance, and that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to grift off of the donor class that realizes it's a futile effort unless they're trying to go out there and weaken Donald Trump and his ability to win, or at least give him these optics losses, despite the fact that most of the people that are voting for Nikki Haley are not Republicans. And in South Carolina, it's an open primary. I anticipate less crossovers than New Hampshire because South Carolina is not a state that historically has a lot of crossovers into the party there, and that we know. I mean, a lot of people were anticipating Republicans would cross over in 2020 and vote for Bernie Sanders in large numbers, but Joe Biden ended up winning the primary there. He outperformed the polling. It really didn't make that much of an impact, but still, we understand that's the game that the Democrats are playing. They can't beat Donald Trump with Joe Biden. They know that it's going to be very difficult. They can't beat him with the legal system either. So what are they trying to do now? Beat him with Nikki Haley? Because apparently that seems to be what they're trying to do. They're trying to get Democrats to vote for Haley. And it's like, if Donald Trump was really this unelectable candidate, would these people be doing this? Would these people be going out there and telling their own voter base to vote for Nikki Haley to stop Donald Trump? Wouldn't they want Donald Trump to win if he's really this weak candidate? But we've been through the math. We understand the map. We know how it is. Donald Trump out of the gate is guaranteed 235 electoral votes. He's going to get Georgia, most likely, because Democrats, for some reason, are bleeding support in terms of their energy among black voters regarding turnout. Doesn't mean they're voting for Trump, but it means that they're not going to show up for Biden in record numbers like you saw during COVID. And I don't think that if they manufacture another BLM scenario, that it's really going to play out in their favor, because more people are on to that bogusness now than they were back then. They completely lost the plot. They completely lost the narrative over time. We were proven correctly, despite the fact that all they did was try to, silence people who spoke out about the truth of these things. But it doesn't matter. Biden's cooked. They know that. And now they're trying to beat him with Haley in terms of beating Trump, because they know that Trump is really going to have a very good shot at beating Biden. But even then, all this is like an attempt to demoralize the Trump base, because even then they can't really believe that Haley has a clear shot at victory, because she does not have a clear shot at victory. She has no path. If she wins a state, it's going to be the Vermont primary. And even then, she's not guaranteed to win it. I don't believe she'll win it. I mean, if she stays in that long, Super Tuesday is going to be on, I believe, the first Tuesday in March. Michigan is the primary that will be taking place in between South Carolina and Super Tuesday. And Trump is going all in Michigan. He was there in Waterford last night, which is in Oakland County. He's trying to drum up the support base. He had auto workers speaking at the event in support of him. He's doing everything right. He's running a very competent campaign. Nikki Haley's tweeting about Donald Trump, and she's, getting the endorsement of Liz Cheney, and she's also going out there and basically saying she wouldn't even commit to supporting Trump if he was the nominee. So she's reneging on the pledge. Even Ron DeSantis, despite him running a campaign that was awful, at least understood the writing was on the wall. He gave Donald Trump a nominal endorsement in his farewell speech. Nikki Haley, on the other hand, is not doing that. She's grifting. She's staying in the race. She's getting all this free media coverage, and she's never going to win a Republican primary ever again. I don't know what she's exactly trying to do. Donald Trump would have to completely get destroyed for them to even claim the mandate to even have somebody like Nikki Haley do well, and that's not going to happen. Even if they try to make it happen or weaken Trump, there's nothing they can do. And that's it for South Carolina. I mean, this primary, Haley lost to nobody in Nevada. South Carolina is her home state. She should be able to do well if she's really all that popular, because she'll get all these crossover voters and independents. I mean, John Kasich won Ohio, despite Ohio being a very, very, very Trump-friendly state back in the 2016 primary. John Kasich, he still, he stayed in for a long time. He finally won a state. He won the state of Ohio. I believe when he dropped out, Rubio still had more delegates, but at least Kasich was able to go out there and win a state. Nikki Haley, on the other hand, is going to severely struggle to get by. She's in dire straits in her home state. She's not an electoral, individual that's really going to be all that electable. If you look at her record in 2010, she underperformed. 2014, she underperformed expectations by a lot. And she's doing the same thing arguably in the primary. The only reason why her totals might be a little inflated is because Democrats are crossing over. Democrats who said they would not be voting for Nikki Haley in a general election. So South Carolina votes on Saturday. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream because I'll be out of town. I'm not going to be able to have at least the usual setup. Maybe I'll find some time to stream part of the results, and maybe it will be without the face cam just to, give a little bit of coverage out there. But nevertheless, it should be very interesting to see how it comes down. I think Trump's going to clear 60%. I think he's going to win. He'll get in the mid-60s. Haley probably does get in the mid-30s because of the crossover support. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump is pulling 80% of Republicans in Haley's home state. There's virtually zero excuse for that to be the case, but it is. That's the way things are. Democrats aren't even voting for Biden in the primary. They're voting in the Republican primaries, and it's not working out. And when you get to a state even Texas, because Texas, regarding the primary voting is different because Democrats have these down ballot races. You're not going to see a lot of crossover in Texas. Haley's campaigning in Texas. She's campaigning in the Super Tuesday states. She's delusional. She's absolutely delusional. Even if she loses South Carolina by 1 vote, she gets 0 delegates. And she's not going to clear the threshold for delegates at all in a lot of these states. Trump is going to clinch this nomination sometime in March, and it's going to be great to see. And then all of this drama is going to go away. The party's going to be even more unified than they are right now behind Trump. You have a select few angry, bitter DeSantis people on Twitter, one of which we'll be talking about later on this stream because there's a scandal that just dropped who's running for office in Texas. But still, you're looking at the big picture here. Trump's going to be the nominee. There's really no question about it. And that brings us to our next topic because Donald Trump is going to be the nominee. He's annihilating Haley across the board. They're trying to go out there and weaken him in the legal system. They go from trying to beat him with another Biden speech that drops flat, and then they try to beat him with Haley, then the legal system, then this, that, and the other thing. It's a cycle. It's going nowhere. The Georgia case is falling apart. Donald Trump, he might be getting $4 billion in stock just because one of his stocks is doing extremely well right now. Donald Trump right now is in a very good position, but still, that's why they're trying to fine him potentially $450 million out of this garbage New York case. It is absolutely garbage. Donald Trump called it election interference. He released a statement. It was a perfect statement that he released back on Friday. And it's true. You look at what's happening in this lawsuit. You have a judge whose wife is a Democrat activist who shares nothing but resist lib memes on Twitter all day. You have an attorney general who's using obscure laws and things and potentially bending the statute of limitations on things that campaigned on putting Trump in jail. Now, this doesn't put Trump in jail. He has enough money to pay for this. He's likely going to appeal it. I think he likely wins on the appeal. But this is such nonsense. They got Trump for supposed bank fraud within his business, barred him from doing business in New York State, but still the banks testified on his behalf. He basically paid the banks anything he had to pay because this is what happens in real estate. This is basic real estate for the 50 IQ NPCs that don't understand it. People will assess their property values in real estate at high levels, and then the banks will sometimes come in and lower the value because it's negotiation. But still, this judge said Mar-a-Lago's like $18 million. Like, he was completely lowballing everything out of nowhere, just trying to get Trump on something and then hitting him with a verdict that is absolutely ridiculous. It's a ridiculous penalty. And I don't believe this hurts Trump whatsoever. This isn't a case that's legitimate. Like something like the Trump University thing, we could have that debate. We could debate how much Trump was liable, but he still paid. He settled the cases. It was completely fine. Everything was settled. And this was also settled until they reopened it, trying to get Trump because he is the leading opposition leader in this country. That is why they went out there trying to get Trump, and they're doing it again, basically. It's true. And this is just basic real estate stuff, but it's like the banks testify on behalf of Trump, and still they fine Trump all this money. A ridiculous amount of money that we would just like absolutely love to have. Anybody would love to have, $350 million. Even if you split that among, 1,000 people, that's a ridiculous amount of money that each person would get. And still, they're trying to take it from Donald Trump's fortune. They're trying to cripple him financially as punishment. That's what they're trying to do. And is it going to work in the eyes of the public? No, this just adds more fuel to the fire. You now have potential trucker protests in New York. Businesses will likely see what's going on, taking politics aside, and want to get the hell out of New York, as many already have. They're going to Miami. They're going to Arizona. They're going to Texas. You name it. It's absolutely insane. I mean, you look at this, the governor of New York came out and reassured businesses that this would not be happening to them, even though they did the same exact thing that Donald Trump did, that every single real estate broker has done, basically making it impossible to do business because they're using these obscure statutes. They're bending what they mean. They're trying to get Trump for them. And as a result, they have, because you have a kangaroo court. An absolute kangaroo court. These people should not be allowed to be in power in this country. They should not be allowed. And you're looking at what they're doing, and they're just completely running the government the same way they claim, the governments of these other countries like Russia. We always hear about Russia. And I'm not saying Russia's innocent, but I mean, it's a lot of this pot and kettle type stuff. We see what happened to the opposition leader in Russia. They're up in arms. Look at what's happening to the opposition leader here in our country. They're trying to put him behind bars for things that are absolutely like ridiculous and things that aren't even illegal, things that everybody has done in these fields. But no, because it's Trump, we're going to twist the law. We're going to get him on everything. That's what they're trying to do. But does he get demoralized? Absolutely not. Donald Trump is coming out on top once again. He's going out there. He's selling shoes. He's selling the Trump Force Ones. He sold out of these sneakers. He went to SneakerCon in Philadelphia, I believe, which is important because it's a key area in a swing state. And he got a round of applause. Everybody was, excited to see him and unveil the Trump shoes. And some people find them gimmicky or a fundraising thing. But yeah, you get shoes. These shoes cost X amount of money usually when they're being sold. If Trump's selling his shoes to pay for his campaign or even his legal fees, what difference does it make? I was just upset that I wasn't able to get them in time because they ended up getting sold out. So the Trump shoes, I guess we'll have to wait. I don't know if he's going to re-up the supply of them, but we'll have to see what happens there. But still, Trump campaigning. He's in Pennsylvania. He's in the state of Michigan. He is out there in these swing states that matter. He's running up the score. I mean, he's up in Michigan by 5. He's, basically in dead heat in Pennsylvania. There's one outlier poll that's kind of weighing down the average. But it's like, Trump's base, he's not losing voters. He's really not. Whatever voters he loses in the suburbs, Biden's losing more. Biden's losing more at a higher rate. Yeah, turnout might drop from 2020 overall. But still, Trump is in a very good shape. A very good shape, unlike any other Republican possibly could be. And they're in for a rude awakening at the rate things are going. Because Trump has a floor that's like right now 251 electoral votes realistically. I did that video. I did the YouTube short that went along with it too. He's got 5 easy pathways. Pick one. I mean, ideally you try to win all those states and possibly more states than that down the stretch. But pick one potential pathway. If you work on it hard enough, you're going to win. I mean, he wins with Nevada and Michigan. If the polls in Michigan are right, and the polls in Nevada are right, it's going to be very, very hard for Joe Biden to make up like 7 points of ground or 5 points of ground. You're not seeing the economy recover. You're really not. So it's like absolutely just huge that Donald Trump is able to, go out there and take leads in states that a lot of people thought would have been like definitely a tough task. I mean, you look at what's happening in the Michigan GOP, Pete Hoekstra, the new chairman, he's recruiting donors back in. You're starting to see a change of pace going on in the Michigan Republican Party. Yeah, I think that Michigan's in play. I think if anything, the election were held today, Trump would win Michigan. Absolutely. And that's the way these things go. I mean, Democrats, there's a lot of room for Republicans to grow in the state, even in the suburbs of Detroit, because you have a lot of white working class voters. You get them out to vote, you win. I mean, that's basically math. I mean, we hear about, suburbs versus rural voters or whatever. It's more just, white non-college educated voters versus these like college educated suburbanites. And even a good portion of them will be voting for Trump too. And I think that Biden might be nearing a ceiling, at least with college educated white men. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I do want to get to super chats before we get to the next topic. We'll be getting to the super chats here. We have quite a few, and then we'll get into this drama, the big drama, and possibly take some of your calls. But we have 1,300 people in chat. So here we go. Johnny Heartdog for 20 says, with Trump trouncing in the polls, at what point can we go from being cautiously optimistic to just being optimistic? When can we safely say we got this? I'm tired of being cautious. I just want to be confident. Well, I think you can be all three. I don't think you ever want to be too confident. I think it's definitely something that can demoralize people. And I also don't like the rhetoric from some of these people that are like, oh, we can't win. It's going to be X, Y, and Z against us. And it's like at that point, like, why are you complaining about politics if that's really what you believe? No, we can win this. I'm sick and tired of people saying we can't, but we have to fight hard and we have to get people out, or you can't at that point fall on any sort of crutch for an underperformance. But yeah, Trump is in a very good position. I think he's going to win at the rate things are going, but we can't get too complacent either. Real Texan Politics became a member saying Ryan Cook is Ryan Cooked. Matt Gagnon for 5 says address pedo Ryan. We're going to address the Ryan Cook stuff. Don't worry about it in a minute here. We're getting through these super chats first, but big news dropping about one of our biggest critics for years is in hot water, and I'm going to take a little bit of a victory lap, but also it's horrible that what this guy's doing. So it's not really something that I'm all too happy about in the grand scheme of things, but it's like, yeah, I told you so. Crack Mode says thoughts on the New York City trucker protest. Will it hurt Don? Well, I mean, it depends. Did the Canadian trucker protests help Trudeau? I mean, no, it didn't. All they did was crack down on these people that were peacefully protesting, and it wasn't really a good look for them, even though Canada's more liberal than America is for sure. I don't know if it would hurt Trump. I mean, I don't really think that it would help Trump a lot, but if Biden goes about it the wrong way, it's possible it could. It's true. All they're trying to do is they are trying to take down their opposition leader the same way that you would see it happen in a third world country and then complain that if you oppose this, you're the real threat to democracy. That's what they're trying to do. Is it going to pay off? No. I mean, even when they poll people, who does a better job at protecting democracy, Biden's losing to Trump in a lot of polls. Why exactly is that? Despite Biden not shutting up about the topic, it's because Biden's despised, Biden is hated. Donald Trump is somebody who's polarizing, but still, a good portion of the public is not ridden with TDS. Maybe 45% is. The rest are winnable. You're not going to win all of them. But could Trump crack a majority of the popular vote? It's possible. It's possible. On Point Politics says, I'm streaming now as well. Just hit 4,000. Nothing but facts from Rep. Well, thank you. Trevor Hintz says, do you see RFK Jr. getting close to 92 or 96 Perot percentages or something in between? Probably less than 1996 Perot. I don't think he's going to get that much. And I don't know how many states he's even going to be on the ballot on. I mean, he did that Super Bowl ad. It's pretty much out of the airwaves now. I don't think a lot of people are really paying attention. He's just going to be a protest vote for, I guess, either side, or people who don't like Trump or Biden but still want to vote down ballot in some states that he's on the ballot. So we'll see. Based Alaskan says, Mazie Phillip was the most eluctable person ever. Well, she checked a lot of the boxes that these neocons and rhinos are looking for. And how did that exactly work out for her? I mean, she got completely decked. And part of that was because of Santos was the main focus in a lot of people's minds. But still, I mean, she lost by 8. And you could have won that race had you put up a decent candidate, possibly. So she was very overrated by a lot of people, but she's gone and we probably never are going to hear from her again. So some Russian stuff that I can't read says, I'm really worried about criminal trials after that ruling. Can he win if convicted? Yeah, he can win if convicted. I mean, if you looked at the polls back then and they would ask people, would you vote for Trump if he's convicted? Biden was up in those polls by 15. Now the polls are like a dead heat. Trump loses by a couple of points from it, and I'm sure he would, but over time it could help him. I mean, it'd just be like the Access Hollywood stuff. Oh, he fell in the polls for a week, but he kind of climbed up out of that. I don't think he's going to jail or going to be convicted by Election Day. The Georgia case is falling apart. The D.C. trial may not take place until after the election at the rate things are going, especially with all the intermediary appeals. You've got a lot of complications with the Florida trial. It's like I don't really see any of these cases like getting expedited besides maybe the New York one, which again would likely just be another civil or at least a monetary penalty, which again, they had to change the law and the statute of limitations so they could get their political opponent and throw them in jail. That is the definition of corruption. That is the definition of these third world antics, but it's okay because it's under the dark Brandon regime, and these people are stunning and brave liberal Democrats who are saving America from the evil orange man. That's what they're doing. Johnny Hartdog says, I'm afraid these business owners that are leaving New York as a result of this sham trial will go to red states and vote the same way. Well, it depends on the industry. I mean, I think the main business owners that would leave because of this probably are going to be more conservative anyways. So I don't know if that's entirely true. Comrade Dushkin says, what immigration bills can we expect from Trump? Hopefully you deport every illegal alien, and now you have the social backing for that. Because back in 2016, it was something that was debated. But now when you have a border crisis and you have, basically if every illegal alien that poured in during Biden's term made up a state, you'd have probably I think it's the 17th or 16th largest state in the country at this point. It's a ridiculous amount of individuals that are pouring in, an unsustainable amount. They catch them. They don't deport them. They release them into the American public. And now you finally have enough people, I believe, on board where it's yeah, we have a problem, shut down the border, possibly even restrict legal immigration a sizable amount. I think there's a lot more public support for that compared to what you had probably, a few years ago. And that's across the board. I mean, every time Trump gets, they poll Trump's immigration comments that are supposedly controversial, that's usually 50-50, even on the more controversial comments that he's made. So Ruben Soto says, don't forget the illegals in the U.S. Yeah, who will vote in November. Yeah, I don't believe a lot of, I'm sure there might be cases of it happening, but if they did, Texas would not be as red as it is. And I know it's gotten a lot bluer in recent years, but still, enough of this, oh, I'm going to go out of my way and find reasons to doom. There's no need for it. Because you look at the states where you have the highest totals, Texas is one of them. A lot of these other states, even Florida is one of them. But then you look at it and it's well, first of all, they realistically can't, even if in some cases they find a way to do it. And I'm not saying they can't, but to say it's in large enough numbers to alter the outcome of an election, probably not. Maybe you could say a case like Arizona, we could raise question marks. But if that was really, if that was really occurring in high numbers, why would there be other potential stuff going on? So, I don't think that it's going to make much of an impact. We got to put our heads down and vote regardless and try to get it. If you really believe that this is going on in high numbers, well, that should motivate you to get out and register people to vote so you can overcome it, right? That's kind of what I see being the case. Also, why do I trust polls? I don't trust polls, for the record. I don't believe that they're full gospel, but they do tell us a lot. And because we've never seen Donald Trump up in the polls in the popular vote for a sustained amount of time, and he's been up in the polls since September in them, it shows that he's the favorite. The polls in swing states have never favored Trump this much. And maybe you could look to 2022 for potential polling misses that favored the polls favored the Republicans, but even then there's multiple explanations for it that I've given. You could look at the polls before early voting started being completely dead on, or you could look at the main fact that some of these states, Trump's base doesn't really come out unless he's on the ballot. So M says, who is your favorite Democrat president? I don't know. Possibly Grover Cleveland. I don't really have one off the top of my head. Mr. Jimmy says, thoughts on American Political Science Association ranking Trump last. Again, these presidential rankings just come from these mainly super liberal people. They have Biden as a top 15 president. They have Trump as the worst president in history, which is the most laughable thing that I've seen in my entire life. Even if you don't like Trump, he's not even close in the bottom, 10 presidents by every single metric. Let's just be real here. These people are clowns. Let's see. We have more super chats. We'll get to these 5 and then we'll we'll take some of these calls here. But let's see. John Cordisco says, with the new gerrymandering of upstate New York congressional districts, will the Republicans hold the House? More likely. I mean, I did a video on that a couple videos ago, and the answer is yes. I mean, even then, the one guy who might get redistricted out's like a rhino anyway, so why is it that big of a deal? We were supposed to lose like 10 seats, possibly up to that in a bad year if they redrew the map, but nope. Ben Sinek says, I think Maine will be the reddest state in the Northeast in 2024. Could Trump flip it if RFK is on the ballot? Well, I think New Hampshire, well, you can make the case for either New Hampshire or Maine. I think that it's going to be closer if RFK is on the ballot, but I think that Trump would still not be the favorite in any of those states. I don't think he needs them, so it doesn't matter. He'll win the 2nd district, which is all that really matters up there. Chris Collins says, I think if I were Trump, I would file a lawsuit saying the judge violated my civil rights. Due process under the 14th Amendment was clearly violated. This case will be overturned by an appellate court. Yeah, these people should all be thrown in prison for abusing the justice system. If this was a serious country, they would all be in prison, not Trump. They would have to be, working off that much money with actual like physical manual labor, which, they would struggle to do. I mean, these people probably can't even bench the bar if we're going to be completely honest. MK Bridaya says, is it true Nikki's winning the independents? Well, a lot of those independents are liberal independents. So, I mean, she might do better with like true independents than Trump in a primary. But if she was actually attacked on a national level by Biden, I think she probably would do worse than Trump, even with that voter demographic. Comrade Dushkin says, making English the official language would be cool. It would be, I guess. It's kind of one of those nominal gestures, but still, I mean, it's something that should be done. We should have an official language. It should be English. It's not one of these other languages for sure. All of our documents should be in English. In order to vote, you should have to have an English ballot. Like, all those things are true. Joe Knoll says, thank you for the 10 in the $10 super sticker. Andrew Mortensen says, what was your favorite thing Trump did as a president? That's a very, very good question, honestly. That's a very loaded question, because a lot of it, like, you could take the policy angle, you could also just take the personality angle. I think arguably the coolest thing he did was sit down with Kim Jong-un and then cross into the DMZ, be the first president to do that. You can't imagine anybody else doing that. You can't imagine Biden doing that, or like even when he did something that was like questionable at the time, like with the whole what was his name, Soleimani, or the Iranian general that he took out. He just like posted the American flag on Twitter. That was legendary, and he got away with it. He was Teflon Don, even when he did some things that were a little questionable. He avoided the war. He avoided the war at the time, even though he took out one of these leading generals of another country that was killing Americans. So it was a win-win, even if the neocons were applauding it at the time. So anyways, we have to get to our next topic, and we will be taking the first batch of callers, because this is something that I usually don't talk about, like election Twitter drama, a whole lot unless you guys bring it up in super chats, because I think it's something that most people don't care about. But you have a guy who's running for political office in Texas, and I think this is important to bring to people's attention, and I know a lot of other big names have, which I was very happy to see that. But you have this clown who would lie about me relentlessly. He would go out there and post a video. I said, how Trump could get to 400 electoral votes. You watch the video. I say, not going to happen, but if X, Y, and Z happened, and then you saw, large third-party vote share, and then basically an asteroid came in certain places, this is what it would look like. That's virtually what I said. This is not going to happen. Trump's not going to have a 400 electoral vote landslide. I wish he would, but there's too much of the public that are just brainwashed NPCs, and I don't really have room for electoral narcissism. Even though I think Trump's the favorite, I think he can win the popular vote. He's going to have a bigger victory possibly than he had in 2016. But still, like, this guy would take the screenshot from the video, and he knows that it's not the election prediction, but he would post it on social media and farm likes from it. I think the post ended up with 2,000 likes of people. I wake up and I see this post from this guy who I blocked, obviously. He blocked me because he couldn't handle the retorts or whatever. But he lies about me. He blocks me, lies about me, posts this. I get all these angry people from all over the political spectrum calling me an idiot because of it. And this guy's a clown. That was not the prediction. But that's not the point. This isn't about me. This is more about him. And a lot of these rhinos that were defending this guy for the longest time. This guy got a job with the DeSantis campaign. I believe they fired him because he was a clown. He was incompetent. And now also he is an alleged, dare I say it, pedophile, which is, I mean, it's just the way it is. You look at this here, and he goes out there. He was talking very sexually to 16-year-old boys on Twitter. That's what he was doing. He got called out by George Santos, was calling him out about this. And this was not the only case of him doing this, by the way. He did this with a 15-year-old volunteer for some congressional race up in New York. He was doing the same thing. He was texting him. The guy, thankfully, was smart enough to avoid it. But this guy that he was messaging was 15. And Ryan Cook is like, what, 21? I mean, there's no excuse for this. There's probably a lot more people that we don't know about that just haven't come forward about this whole Ryan Cook drama. And I wanted to bring in somebody who, I don't know if he's in the chat now, but I wanted to bring him in. I think he's not there. But he basically found this out because this guy tried to like get him fired from his job or something like that. And you're looking at this and it's like incredible that all these people, all they do is sit there. They have no lives. They're running for political office. They're probably going to lose anyways. And this guy gets outed for being a gay pedophile, essentially. That's exactly what he is. He's a pervert. He's a loser. He lives on the internet the whole time. And all he does is talk shit about me. He lies about me. And now he got hit with the rep curse. It is over. He should be in jail. He should not be allowed to be in the general public, honestly. He's just being a creepy, perverted weirdo on social media, sending ass pics to 16-year-olds, soliciting ass pics from 16-year-olds. Absolutely disgusting behavior. And so many people wanted me to address it tonight. And I did address it tonight. One of the guys who got all this together was a SoCal populist. He was the guy from Twitter, and he's been, sounding the alarm for quite some time now on this, and it went nowhere. It got swept under the rug. He was crying in the DMs to all these other people, but no. I mean, this guy's a clown. This guy's a total clown. He's somebody who's running for political office too. So if you live in Nacogdoches County or whatever, you see Ryan Cook on the ballot for precinct chair, vote for the other person. I think there's one older lady that's running. I don't know her name offhand, but make sure that you stop this guy from achieving any power. Not only is it a bad look for the party, not only is he a rhino, he's somebody who is literally soliciting ass pics from sophomores in high school on twitter.com. That's exactly what he's doing. And these are the same people that say, oh, well, I'm the never Trump Republicans. It's a common theme because he's not the only one. There was another guy named, I think his name was like Berkey or something like that on Twitter. He got outed. This guy gets outed trying to solicit, sending lewd pictures to people who are literally freshmen and sophomores in high school. That's what's taking place. That's what's happening with a lot of these people. And like I said, you live in Texas. And either way, contact the new local media is what I would advise people to do. Contact the local media in Nacogdoches County or whatever, or the newspaper at the university, Stephen Austin University or whatever. Contact these people and make sure that they publish some sort of article warning people not to support this guy. Because what you are doing if you do that is you're empowering somebody who does this type of stuff. And he is coping. He is deleting his account. As Isotope sent a $5 super chat just now saying his account got deleted 4 hours ago. Well, if you're not guilty, if these are all fake, then you don't delete your account. You don't delete your account if these are fake allegations or these are made up things. Now, they're allegations. I say alleged because you have to say alleged, but still, the bottom line remains the same. This guy is a total clown and has zero place, not just in Republican politics. He has zero place in society if this is apparently what he is doing. If he is soliciting pictures, he is grooming children, he's grooming young boys over the internet. It's not like he's 18 and he's like dating somebody who's a few months younger than him or whatever. He's doing this deliberately. He's doing this on the internet with 15 and 16-year-olds. That's you can't defend this. You can't defend this whatsoever, regardless of however you put it. This guy is a clown. He has no business in society. He should be in jail. But instead, they're trying to put Trump in jail. They should be putting this guy in jail instead. Last time I checked, Trump's not soliciting naked pictures or sending pictures of his ass to 15 and 16-year-old boys on social media. So, take that. But seriously, it's like, I even saw a tweet of, there's like these liberals defending this guy, saying, oh, well, Trump, these people support Trump, so they're hypocrites. How is that even remotely comparable? Like, how is it comparable in the slightest? Like, we have yet to exactly find out from these people. They're just saying, oh, well, Blumph bad, Blumph evil. Therefore, this guy gets off the hook because he doesn't support Blumph. That's what they're trying to convey. It's coded. It's very coded defense of this guy, but they're defending this guy. M says Cook and Vaush need to face the Debya. I mean, yeah, it's like another thing because you look at what's happening with the whole Vaush stuff. The guy, is on a live stream. He saves a picture to his computer. This communist or at least Marxist YouTuber who's streamer who's defended CP and all this disgusting stuff. And has all these Discord posts about liking horse penis, to literally just have sex with horses or something. And the guy gets outed because he opens the folder and he's got a ridiculous amount of animated pornography of horses and young individuals, people that look like they're 7 or 8 years old, even arguably. And the guy gets little pushback from the left for this, by the way. He gets little pushback. He maintains a monetized YouTube channel, even though he opened that on stream. It's ridiculous. It's disgusting. But you have this problem. I think it's a societal problem. Did you have as many people acting like this 50, 60 years ago? No, and that doesn't excuse these people's actions as to why they're occurring more or to saying that these people were good to begin with. But seriously, we have a major problem with societal rot, and this is one of those symptoms of that. Make no mistake. Make no mistake about it. So let's see. In chat, we have a few people. We're going to be taking calls now. We're going to be getting to super chats and taking calls, but you have a lot of crazy people on the internet, terminally online individuals that talk shit about me and Trump all day. And what exactly are they doing? These are the same people that were calling Matt Gaetz a pedo for debunked allegations with minimal evidence. And then you look at the clear-cut evidence of this guy going out there grooming children. Literally. Disgusting people. It's not even about me. It's not even about politics at that point. You're just a disgusting human being. And that's 100% true. So anyways, we're going to pivot. We're going to take some calls. We're going to be talking about Nikki Haley and probably a little bit see what people have to say. When is she going to drop out of the race? That's a question I wanted to ask. Stingray says Nacogdoches, Texas, Stephen F. Austin State University. I went to schoolhouse there. I'm only a few minutes away. I'll post on my Facebook. Yeah, these people cannot be elected to political office. This is not just obscure drama. It is something that's not like a national story. I know not a lot of people care that much about it, but I needed to bring it to people's attention because you have these people, they're literally running for office and they have endorsements from prominent people in the local area that are backing this guy up. And he needs to be nowhere near the levers of power. So that's 100% true. Thank you for doing that, by the way, Stingray. We are going to take calls as well. We are going to take calls. So we got our first caller here. Our first caller here is going to be a very vintage caller who's evolved politically over the years, and that we know. We know this guy. We'll be letting him on. Backstar, you're on the air. How's it going, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now, let me just say this. We got about 1,300 people live tonight. Let me just say that. I'm going to give y'all a little history of my voting record. Okay?
Okay.
2008, I supported Barack Hussein Obama.
Okay.
In 2012, I've supported Nick Romney.
Okay. Nick Romney.
And I supported Donald John America.
Okay.
In 2020, I supported Joseph Robinette Biden.
Oh.
And in 2024, I am officially endorsing Donald John America. I'll be voting for Donald John America for president of the United States of America.
Okay, and can I ask you why you're changing your vote to Donald John America from Joseph Biden?
Because Joe Biden fucking my damn pocketbook up. My income tax return in 2018 was $2,200.
What's it now?
In 2019, it was $1,800. In 2019, it was $1,500. In 2020, it was $2,000. In 2021, it went down to $500. In 2022, it went down to $300. And now 2023 is $47 fucking dollars. So why do you think I'm voting for Donald John America? My tax refund was looking all right.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's definitely something that I think a lot of people feel this way. I mean, you have people that voted for Biden, they regret voting for Biden, and then, even if they might not like every aspect of Trump's personality or whatever, they're coming home because they realize, this country's not working for them right now in any way, shape, or form. So I would have to say that's a common theme. And I posted your voting history on Twitter, and then everybody said that you were fake and you weren't real, and I was just like pulling things out of my ass. But no, well, you're very real.
You can tell these people that said I'm fake to suck my dick.
Okay. Language. Dial back the language a little bit. I mean, we get it.
Okay.
You're passionate, but
no, I gotta get ready. So I'm gonna keep my comments short.
Okay. You gonna do a little outro like you used to do? Is that what this is?
I'm gonna do my outro now. So I want to go uninterrupted for these 1,200 folk in here.
Okay. Well,
I'll tell Matt Gagnon I said to get some Nutrisystem.
Okay.
Tell Kevin Lupa to stop gooning. Tell Richard Guthridge to stop being a fucking loser.
Okay.
And your nose look like a trapezoid.
Okay, thank you. Okay, he's done. Yeah, he does his outros. He throws the inside jokes in there, whatever. So either way, we had our caller call in. Then so that tweet was real. Everybody can rest easy knowing that the Romney, Trump, Biden / Mark Robinson, Beasley, Trump voter does exist. It does indeed exist. Everybody can rest easy. Okay. Tucson PaleoCon. Actually, wait. We have a super chat before that. The Commander says, I was going through the list of American communist parties. If anyone here doesn't understand how bad it is, we have at least 100,000 Trotskyists. Trotsky believed in a continuous violent revolution, always trimming the bonsai. Well, and it's funny because one of his disciples was the founder of American neoconservatism, who I believe was Bill Kristol's father or grandfather. It's funny because neoconservatism actually comes directly out of communism or disaffected communism. It's true. Tucson PaleoCon says Ryan is cooked rep is vindicated. It's true. It's true. There's no coming back from that. When you can come back from a lot of things on the internet. You can come back from, insane things that people do. They bounce back. You cannot come back from this in any way, shape, or form. You are done for. You are literally cooked. He lived up to his name. He's cooked. Cameron Campbell says, the more I am online and seeing all this gross stuff makes me so happy that I am a Christian. I feel like Isaiah and Elijah. Andrew Mortensen says, honestly, bro, you shouldn't have voted for Biden. Big L. Well, that's what I told him. But you had a lot of people that fell for the COVID hysteria narrative and, healthcare and all this other stuff. And Biden's done nothing on healthcare. Trump and his base were proven right on COVID. If anything, Trump's gotten a lot of criticism from people because he was, gave into the narrative a little bit too much. That's kind of what DeSantis tried to make his campaign about, even though it fell completely flat. But yeah, I agree. But if the people realize their mistake, they can be a part of the greatest comeback story ever and vote for Donald John America. Brooks is free Julian Assange for the 5. All right, thank you for the super chats. Guys, we're going to go to the next caller here. We're going to bring on, let's see, who can we bring on? We haven't talked to this guy in a while. Don, his name is Don Jr. He's not the Don Jr., but his name on Discord is Don Jr. So I'm going to bring him in. He's deafened right now, so I don't know if he can. Okay, he's muted. Don, you're on the air. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
So it's been a while since I think you last called in. What would your take on the whole, Trump's chances of victory be? Because I asked people this question last stream. Are you more confident or less confident than you were like a couple of months ago?
I think it cuts both ways. Yes, the polling is going very well for Donald Trump at the moment, and Biden's polls are sinking. And it's true that, Joe Biden has a massive base problem, and it kind of manifests itself in various different ways, whether it's the ceasefire write-ins or, the Arab American voters in Michigan that refuse to vote for Biden, whether it's the kind of vote 2020 voters who regret their votes. I think Biden has many, many more pitfalls than Trump does. But the one thing I worry about for Trump is, to what extent is the establishment of the deep state going to go to really handicap him? I mean, we just saw in New York some bizarre and ridiculous verdict, $350 million for, bullshit, really. Just, a complete precedent just made up out of thin air. And given how the other trials are stalling out, now New York is going to, try to charge him on the hush money payments. So it's like,
yeah,
I think they know that his chances are pretty good. I just think they're going to do whatever it takes. Now, I'm not saying black pill, I'm not saying doom, but it's just something you have to be cognizant of.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I think that this is something that people need to understand. It's not going to be a cakewalk, and Trump is not completely screwed. I think that I see a lot of people that say one of those two things, and I think both of those takes are not right. I think we have to be cautiously optimistic, and we can be confident, and we should be confident that we can get it done, because you have to believe we can get it done to do it. But, they are going to try everything. The bottom line is I just don't see Biden having a clear path. Even if they try to throw all of this at Trump, maybe they could say they get Trump to run out of money, they get Biden to run all of his ads or whatever. But I mean, does money matter as much during presidential years? Not necessarily, given the whole free media coverage thing. Everybody's upset with Biden right now. And on top of that, Trump likely is going to crack 251 I think he gets Georgia. I think he holds his 2016 or 2020 states, I should say. And yeah, he's got 5 clear paths that only entail him winning 2 of the remaining states on the map. So yeah, it's possible he doesn't get there, but I think right now he's the favorite. I think that they are going to try to pull out more stops on him. I mean, they've already kind of done so, but I'm worried that they've played their hand a little bit too much too early, if you want to look at it through their perspective. Because how does the guy I don't know, get indicted 4 times and he gains in support, not just in a primary, but in the national polling. I mean, that's incredible. So anyways, Don, thanks for calling in, but we're going to move to the next caller. Let's see. Let's go to, okay, let's see who's next. Boston. We'll go to Boston here. Let's see. Boston. Can you hear me? You're on the air.
Hey, Rep.
Hey, so in terms of the, because I also want to ask people this question. I don't know if you were on the last stream where I asked people the confidence question, but feel free to answer that one as well. But what I am asking people tonight is, at what point does Nikki Haley call it quits and drop out? Because if she claimed that she's going to do better in South Carolina than New Hampshire, like that's her new benchmark, she's obviously not going to hit that benchmark. So where exactly would she go from here? Does she stay in until Super Tuesday? Does she stay in until Trump gets the nomination? Obviously, she's just in it to weaken Donald Trump and to like try to deliver him optics losses. She can't be in this to win this.
I believe that she's in until the convention. She's not going to drop out until the Democrat donors stop giving her money. That's the factual.
So you think that she's going to stay in the race into even after she can't physically win the nomination? You think that they're just going to be funding her just so they can try to make Trump's primary vote totals a little weakened and try to sow division within the base? Because I think that's a valid take, and I think that if she doesn't drop out after South Carolina or at the very latest Super Tuesday, that's kind of evident what she's doing, if it's not already evident already, which it is.
Yes, because I think not only is she being propped up by the Republican establishment, I think she's being propped up by the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, she is. And you can, I mean, the people watching can look on screen and they could see this mailer they're sending out. They're saying the Republican primary's far from over, which is a joke. And they're saying you have a clear choice between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. And they're trying to incentivize people to vote for Nikki Haley, even though South Carolina Democrats weren't really the biggest fans of her either for a lot of reasons. They probably like her more than Trump because, you know, Orange Man bad and all that. So anyways, thanks for calling in. We're going to go to the next caller. SoCal's back, by the way, and I wanted to bring him in to talk about the origin story of this Ryan Cook stuff. SoCal, can you hear me? Okay, he's still muted. I'll give him a second. We'll give him a second to unmute if he's possibly able to come on, but he's technically in the call. But it's true. This is the guy. I mean, we look at what's happening in Texas and these rhinos, and it's incredible what they're doing. Now you have them defending in many cases, because I've seen 2 or 3 tweets saying, I'm not going to rescind my endorsement until there's a news article in this blog about this guy. And it's like, you're defending this guy. Just disavow. It's obvious. You could say alleged all you want because you have to legally, but Ryan Cook is messaging 15 and 16-year-olds. It's true. SoCal left, I think. I don't know if he... SoCal, are you there? Are you... Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know what that was about, but I don't know. You were muted. But you're still muted, so I don't know if that's intentional, if we're having audio problems here to the people that are watching.
No, I just couldn't unmute when I was in it the first time.
Okay. So the Ryan Cook stuff, what's the origin story? Because you were the guy that kind of broke this story. I mean, I don't know if you DM'd it to, I believe it was Sarah Gonzalez who posted about it, but was it you that broke it? You had these DMs? Like, what was going on here? Like, did he try to am I right when I say that he tried to like dox your work, or he tried to?
Yeah, he was successful doing so. But yeah, I just got him like probably 2 weeks ago and tweeted him then. And it didn't get picked up until today, which was interesting. Yeah. I don't know really why she chose today, but that's when they were posted.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot. I'm sure they get a lot of DMs they're sifting through. But like, it is true. You have people that are running for political office, and this is what they're doing. Especially a lot of these never Trumpers. And obviously it's a problem that's not even that political at the end of the day. But still, these people are out here on election Twitter, and this is a common election Twitter thing, and I've seen it more so on the neocon side, even though we've seen a couple leftists do it as well. You had the Eric Stutzman guy, you had the there's many other people. That one guy that said Kevin McCarthy was doing a bang up job. You had the Bear Key guy, and now Ryan Cook. Like, what exactly is this like a? I'm not going to say it's like a coordinated ring going on between these people, but this is it just a terminally online problem mixed with the fact that some of these people have some of these like pedophilic tendencies or whatever, or they just like, I don't know what the psychological thing behind it is, but like, what should this guy, I think he should be arrested. I think he should be arrested like easily, like no questions asked. I know that like maybe they don't have enough direct proof, but it seems like they have enough proof. Like the individual involved was below the age of consent on all fronts. There's also proof that he's messaging people even younger than this guy, to the point where, yeah, this is a major problem. Will the authorities get involved with this?
I mean, ideally they would. I don't really see that happening. Just from a legal perspective, it's not great. But I just think the reasoning behind it is when you're online that much, I just think you get desperate because you probably don't have a life. So I just think that's kind of where it comes from.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look at all these people that are doing this, none of them probably have a gym membership, especially if you just like look at this guy. But they don't live normal lives. They live inside. I'm shocked he's even running for political office, but the guy's a clown. I actually met this guy once. I didn't know it was him at the time, but there was some political convention in the state of Texas, and like he comes up to me, and he's like nervously sweating, and he's mumbling about how he's one of these never Trump Republicans. And then he's like said something. I was like, oh, well, you do a good analysis or whatever. Cause like, of course he's not going to, say what he really feels at the time. And then literally 2 days later, he's talking shit about me on Twitter as he was doing before. But yeah, no, he's a clown. He's a total clown. And it's a good thing he got outed, because if he would not have gotten outed, then they would probably, like, I don't know. Do you know if he was like actually, okay, he left. But I was just curious, like in general to the public here, like if this guy was actually in the front runner for this, or if he is still the front runner. That's a scary thought. It's a very scary thing. But yeah, this is not good. We'll bring in Real Texan. I believe it's Real Texan, because he's also was very involved with the story breaking, I believe. Real Texan, you're on the air. You there?
Yes. Hello. What's going on?
So we're talking about the Ryan Cook stuff tonight, and I believe you were one of the people that was, breaking this story on Twitter as it was going down. Is that correct?
Yeah, I kind of was tweeting about it. I never really had that many interactions with him. Well, not creepy ones at that. And maybe part of that's because of my age, but
yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're probably a little too old for him.
Right.
But did you know, because you're in Texas, I don't know where in Texas, but do you know if this guy was ever like a serious contender for this precinct position?
I really don't know. I mean, I don't know what. I mean, I assume the Nacogdoches is a little bit more, maybe a bit more Trumpy, since it is in East Texas. I don't know exactly the dynamics of the race.
It was a college town that he was running for the precinct in, so I don't know if it was all that Republican of an area.
I think the precinct was somewhere outside the campus. So,
okay.
But,
yeah. But yeah, it's just a big problem that I think a lot of people are going to run into on election. It's kind of like, because you have a lot of people there that are like, under the age of 18 making maps or whatever, and they're probably getting like preyed on by these creepy weirdos like Ryan, who does nothing but tweets about how evil Blumph is all day, and then look what happens to these people. But
I mean, this guy is a massive stan of Dade Phelan, and
exactly, and he's Trump. An underrated Trump endorsement, for those who don't know, is he endorsed the candidate running against Dade Phelan. I don't know if it's going to be successful given how much money Phelan has, but the Paxton impeachment was not popular, not nearly as popular as some people may think down in Texas. So, I mean, I don't know if you know if there's a chance that Phelan could lose his primary now, but I feel like the chance is there more so than ever.
I don't think it'll make that big of an impact, to be honest. I don't think most people in that area are really going to care or even know about it. I will also say, though, I think I think Brian is a big person to blame for Brent Money losing his election in the second House district,
Well,
because he's the one that broke the never Trump uh, BS, which was ironic because he's obviously a master rhino. He broke it to Laura Loomer, and then she spread it to try to get him to try to make him lose this election, which he ended up losing by the skin of his teeth, like 150 votes or so.
to a Democrat or a Republican in the primary?
It was an Arvidsar special
Okay.
election.
So
Jill
he inadvertently did us a favor.
Not really, because Brent Money is actually the MAGA guy. Jill Dutton is pro Dade Phelan.
Okay, but like there was something you said about Trump like a long time ago that was used.
Years ago.
Yeah,
Like
well,
kind of like a JD Vance type scenario. So
okay. I
in a way,
mean,
we kind of, yeah, he screwed us over with that, especially with the margin that it was. I mean, there probably were some crossed over Democrat votes, and I'm sure Ryan was perfectly fine with that.
yeah, these people are just incompetent. In many cases, they're malicious, and as we see by their antics, they are malicious. All they do, because you have a community of people who claim to be conservative, but they're online, and not all of them are doing this kind of stuff. But like you see what they do. All they do is they post about Trump like 200 times a day. Blumph bad, Blumph bad, Blumph bad. When he's the nominee, they're in denial. They're delusional. They might as well just come out and say that they want Biden to win, because at least at that point they'd be being honest. I really haven't seen a lot of them do that. But if you really hate Biden and Trump and you only attack Trump, whose bidding are you doing? I think we know the answer. But thanks, Real Texan, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Of course, Donald John America 2024.
So true. Donald John America. That's the best nickname you could have for Trump. Donald John America, who's currently in a big lead. And honestly, nationally, in terms of these primaries, he's in a bigger lead nationally than he is in the state of South Carolina. He's up over Haley 75-17. That's an insane margin. I mean, when she drops out, he's going to be getting close to 100% of the primary vote, or close to that, but we don't know if she's going to drop out before the election. So anyways, here we go. Let's see. Super chats. Security TV says, I heard a TNN rep or a Tennessee rep was resigning and said, we thought our fight was in Washington, but our fight is with Washington. Do you know who said that and who is stepping down? Also, love your content. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you for the super chat, but I just can't. I don't know who that is. Like a Google search probably could help, or maybe somebody in chat knows. But Dan Bears says White House and Senate in 2024. Can we hold the House? Yes. If we win the White House, we're probably going to win the House, especially because those Michigan seats will flip. And Trump does have coattails that are pretty positive. So John Waffle H2P says, how does Trump get the midget in Ukraine to get in line? People need to understand Ukraine is not our friend. We should not be sending them our money. And it's 100% true. We shouldn't be. Like, all we hear about is, but Russia might take Poland. Like, that's literally the argument boils down to these people, is just Russian hysteria. And I'm not even pro-Russia. I'm not necessarily one of these, like, base Putin people. Like, it's a meme. I get it. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that Ukraine is not our friend. We really don't gain much from defending Ukraine. They're probably going to lose anyways. It's just going to drain our resources. What we need is strong leadership that is going to negotiate a peace deal where, you know, maybe Russia will get some provinces. What difference does it make? Russia would probably be better served having some of those provinces, because the people in those provinces are majority ethnically Russian. A lot of them have been mistreated. And when they voted in these referendums, it's overwhelming. And you could say, well, actually the vote is skewed. And these are ironically coming from the same people that call everybody right of center in this country an Aleutian denier or whatever, but it's true. I mean, they're Russian by ethnicity. Ukraine even had a pro-Russia president until the UN and NATO basically cooed him out and replaced him with the party that Zelensky's a part of. So, yeah, absolutely. When it comes down to Ukraine, what we need to do is we just need to not be funding them. What we need with Trump is, Trump is the one guy that could get Zelensky and Putin in a room and avert World War III. Instead of like having us to have to go through all of this nonsense and spend money on taxpayer dollars for things overseas. Like, we don't need to be funding Ukraine. We don't need to be funding the war in Gaza. Either way, it's not our place. You know, these countries can, in most cases, defend themselves. Maybe you could make the case Ukraine can against Russia, but still, first of all, NATO doesn't even pay their fair share. Second of all, what business do we have being involved? Do they really think Putin's going to go out there, take all of Ukraine, take Poland? What does he have to gain by taking Poland? I mean, Putin wanted to join NATO back in the 1990s. They basically froze him out any time that they wanted to. They've pushed Russia directly into the hands of China, and they're going to continuously do that, and that's what's going to spark World War III. So you need somebody that will get the people to stop dying, as Donald Trump so eloquently put it, and negotiate a peace deal. If Russia wants some of these Russian-heavy provinces, well, maybe those provinces are not in line with the interests of the rest of the Ukrainian people. Why should Ukraine necessarily need them? Ukraine already has a port regardless of that. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and claim I'm an expert who knows every little in and out of the conflict, because I'd be lying to you. But what I will say is that, no, we don't need to act like Russia's the real big threat. Putin's the enemy number one. That's what I'm saying. Like, no. So that's it for the super chats. If you guys want to send in super chats, you can. We have a couple more people in the live waiting room as well. But in terms of the super chats, you guys can feel free to send them in. We'll look in regular chat as well as we move on. But Sir Thanks a Lot says, thinking Russia joining NATO is pure idiotic cope. Well, Russia's not going to join NATO now, obviously, but back in the day, they were in consideration. They did want to join. They were shut down at every opportunity. They put nukes directly on Russia's border. Looking at the globe right now, you guys can't see, but you have 3 Baltic states touching Russia. They're a part of it. It's definitely just provoking conflict. What we need is strong leadership. Donald Trump said it best: peace through strength. That's what we need. That's how you deal with the conflict. Russian guy. Again, I don't know, or it's in Cyrillic or some other alphabet, says why whites in New England are so much to the left of whites in the nation. And I think it's because a lot of them are not religious. A lot of them are, ethnically Irish, technically not. They don't follow their religion in many cases. So, yeah. Let's see. Sir Thanks a Lot says, watch the Tucker Carlson interview. Putin wants Cold War. I did see the Tucker Carlson interview. I did see the interview. My takeaway is not exactly the same conclusion that you came to. But at the end of the day, I'm not pro-Russia. I'm not pro-Putin. I'm not pro-Ukraine either. I'm not pro-Zelensky. I'm not pro-country that's the playground for all of our politicians' shady business dealings either. So that's true. Let's see. But in terms of Russia and the war, like, I'm not sitting here and rooting for them to lose either. So, any people in chat? All right, we're gonna bring in. Let's see. Let's go to On Point. On Point Politics. He's currently deafened, but whenever he undeafens, he will be on the air. But yeah, On Point. You're on the air. I can hear you. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing pretty well. So just kind of going over some of these primaries here. I mean, Nikki Haley is completely delusional, is she?
Nope. Very, very, very delusional. I mean, it's just honestly incredible that she's staying in this long. Her plan is, we're gonna wait until Trump gets convicted, and then I'm gonna go against Ryan Blinkley, and then I'm gonna beat him, and I'm gonna get the nomination. Which honestly, if Nikki Haley were to ever get close to the nomination, I would literally vote for Biden. I'd rather Biden accidentally press the button than her actually do it on her menstrual cycle. Like, honestly, just completely terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Even if Trump gets convicted, he's still going to stay on the ballot. The RNC's made that determination. I mean, there's basically no path forward for her. This is an operation that she's teaming up with the left to take down Trump. And now it's possible that she won't even endorse Donald Trump. Is this like, we hear all the rumors about Haley for VP, and I don't believe that Trump ever wanted Haley as VP. That was a DeSantis lie, or DeSantis team lie. Cope, whatever. But is she maybe trying to leverage like herself and be like a snake and try to say, I'll endorse you if you put me on the ticket. If not, I'm going to endorse Biden. Like, is that something she would be capable of doing? Because it seems like she would. I don't think Trump would do it, but like I'm just saying she would try to play that angle.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't know if she's gonna do. I don't think she's necessarily gonna do that, but it's just not. It's not feasible at all. I think if she were to be Trump's VP, I think Trump would end up losing by like Obama margins because the base would completely fall out if that happened. I wouldn't vote for Trump if she was his VP, to be completely honest, and I don't think a lot of people would either. I just think that overall the primary's over. I think they need to focus on the general. I think that, Haley's saying that the RNC is trying to steal the nomination from her because they see that Trump is leading in the polls by 60 at this point almost, and are basically trying to avoid a divisive primary and do the right thing for the party. Finally, Ronna McDaniel actually did something right for once. But other than that, like it's just like absolutely ridiculous. And, honestly, that's just my take on that. I think for the Trump confidence thing, I think Trump is in a much better position than he even was 2 weeks ago when I last was on this show. Biden the other day had a really bad day where he had the special counsel report and multiple gaffes reported, talking about red states and green states. I guess he's thinking about his son getting greened up in the White House or something like that. Like
a little bit more than green. He's getting whited up or Coke.
No, yeah, it's absolutely, it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think that honestly, Trump is in a really good position. I think Trump actually, because you know how you're saying, oh, Trump gets Georgia. I think Trump already has Wisconsin and Georgia, so I actually have his floor a little bit higher than you do. I have it at 261. So even if Biden were to somehow beat Trump, it wouldn't even be through like Wisconsin or Georgia. It'd probably be like that 271 to 267 scenario where like Biden gets Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and Trump probably gets Nevada, Wisconsin, and Georgia. That's more than likely what would be Biden's victory scenario. And if that were to happen, things would just go really...
It'd be chaos again, I'm sure. I'm not calling for that, but just given the way things are going, it's pretty easy inference to deduce. But in terms of the polls, ever since the Biden gaffe, it seems like, because I believe that was last Thursday, I want to say, was it the 8th?
Yeah, it was like recent.
Yeah, I think it was the 8th, because we've seen 3 polls since then, and while Trump is up in 2 of them, the other one is tied. Is there like a polling blackout? Because it feels like we were getting a lot more polls. Maybe we'll get a lot more this week, and maybe that'll throw the average one way or another. But
yeah,
I don't know if there's like
the polls have been a little bit strange recently. As of right now, I actually do have a model that has Trump up because it accounts for like a polling error as well. So like my model actually, like when you plug in the RCP average, it kind of corrects itself. So I actually have Trump up 4 in the popular vote, and he basically wins 312 to 226 electoral votes because he gets Wisconsin pretty easily. He wins it by like 5, Michigan by like 3.5, Pennsylvania by like 3.2, Georgia's like a 6-point win. Arizona is actually nearing likely in my model, and Nevada I have it as like a 6.5-point win, and Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire all lean, and I think the Nebraska 2nd district is like the closest state on there. Yeah, that's what I have on my model right now. And what I did for my model is I tested it to 2016, and then I applied like an adjuster to every state, and then I averaged all of the adjuster numbers and applied it to the 24 model. Oh, I mean the 2020 election, excuse me.
Okay.
So I applied it to the 2024 model, and it kind of corrects itself. Like instead of Michigan voting to the right by like 5 points of Pennsylvania, it only votes to it by like half a percentage point. Like it corrected a lot of trends when I did that. So I feel like I did the right thing in my model. Like Colorado was voting to the right of New Mexico before I did that, before I corrected it to the 2020.
Okay, so like Arizona polls, like Trump's up by 5. Nevada polls, he's up by 7. Wisconsin, he's leading. That's like unheard of for Trump in Wisconsin because he overperforms the polls by 7 in Wisconsin like twice. Michigan up by 5. Pennsylvania is dead heat, and that's with that Susquehanna outlier in there. And there's another poll that was a Trump plus 8 that I think 538 has, but RCP doesn't have. But North Carolina, he's up by 8. Georgia, he's up by 7. I mean, the polls can be wrong. They're flawed. But are they all this off? Like, even if you apply the 2022 polling errors in some of these states, Donald Trump is going to get 270.
Yeah, they're still not even going to be off by that. They can't, unless like this is some psyop operation by the establishment to try to get people overconfident about the election. But I think if that is their plan, I think that's going to backfire, because I think actually Trump being ahead is actually more is going to bring more enthusiasm for people to vote for Trump, because it's like, oh, and that's why
it's a mandate. I mean, in a way.
That's why on CNN and MSNBC, whenever Biden has like a +6 poll, they're like, Biden's leading Trump by 6 points. But when Trump leads Biden by massive amounts, they never report it. That's why they're not reporting those polls, because they know if they were to show those polls, everybody be like, oh, Democrats would get demonetized. And like, so really when people say like, oh, okay, maybe it would make people overconfident, but I actually think this makes people more motivated to vote for Trump.
Yeah, I mean, because like it is kind of like a bandwagon effect. Like, yeah, maybe they could be overconfident, but I think it's a wash in that front. Because like, oh, if he's down by a lot, well, then at that point, people would be demoralized by that logic too. But it's like with Trump in the lead at the rate that he is, especially, this out, because polls in February, historically, they say are more accurate than like polls in October. It obviously things can change, but I'm just saying in general, like it's been that way the past like 4 election cycles. It always comes back to the mean. But when it's all said and done, it's like, yeah, I mean, you're looking at this. If Donald Trump is up by 7 in Georgia and people see that, then it's going to be like, wait a minute, well, why is Trump winning by so much? Maybe they'll be looking into Trump more and understanding why, if they don't have like total TDS, because like, why are all these people supporting Trump? Why are all these, I mean, even these like celebrities coming around to Trump? He's getting all these like rappers endorsements. They'd be like, why is that? And maybe they'd look into Trump and maybe they'd understand why more so than before. I don't know. It's definitely like a bandwagon thing.
Yeah, it definitely is that way. And by the way, I would like to comment on the whole Twitter thing with Ryan Cook.
Yeah.
He is definitely cooked for sure. And I think that honestly, I'm glad that they were able to catch that. I mean, because it's like it's a bad look for the party. I'm sure. What's actually quite funny about this? I don't think this is actually going to be a national news story. I think the fact that
it won't.
No, and I think even if it got to the point where it should be a national story, I think that they still wouldn't report it because of the fact that he's anti-Trump. Like, I think the media is so skewed that they wouldn't probably.
Yeah, but if he was a pro-Trump committeeman, it would be everywhere. I mean, it'd be on CNN, MSNBC would be talking about this guy. I mean, it'd be everywhere. Like, that's the thing.
In terms of the online like stuff, like it being terminally online, I think this is the case. I've mentioned this to you before, and a lot of people don't really know this, but I actually have another quote-unquote persona online. I'm also a video game developer about a series that kind of blew up recently last year and the year before that. It's called Grizzlies VR. It's like a FNAF spinoff, but I ended up getting canceled on Twitter because I said that being lesbian and gay is not the same thing as being trans, and they all threw a hissy fit. And I said LGBTQ was like this. Like,
I mean, that's a fairly like liberal, like conservative position, like all things considered too. Like we see a lot of people say like that normie stuff.
And what happened was some guy ended up clipping that on a Discord chat, and they posted it, and it got like hundreds of thousands of views on Twitter. It was ridiculous. And that guy, here's the funny part. This is where I'm going on to the terminally online stuff. Their name was Dr. Doggo, and they ended up 3 months later, they found out that he ended up fucking his own dog or some crazy stuff like that. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous. And so then at that point, everybody basically came home back to me at that point. But it's just like, it goes to show that these people are so deranged and so terminally online. It's just crazy. It's really embarrassing, to be completely honest.
I mean, enough is enough. Like these people. Like and it's like obviously not everybody on like election Twitter or Sphere or terminally online stuff is like this, but I mean you have a lot of other issues with a lot of other people. Maybe not as bad as this type of stuff, but I mean we see a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's not that bad because overall the Finance and Freddy's community Twitter is just there's ridiculous.
I'm
Somebody's
sure
getting right every single day. Like every day, even like the guy who was doing the remake for Five Nights at Freddy's got canceled for some dumb stuff, and he was hired by the creator and everything. They had to let him go. Like it's crazy. The community is really falling off. But
Yeah.
that's the point. Uh, really overall, like I mean, with Trump's chances looking really good, Nikki Haley's delusional. Basically, Hillary Clinton 2.0. She would not do well in a general election. You know what's actually funny? I think if she was the nominee, I generally think RFK would have a somewhat shot of winning the presidency at that point.
Well, he'd
'Cause
be like at least a Ross Perot, you would think.
no, not even a
I'd
Ross
vote
Perot.
for
I think
him
he
if Haley's the nominee, and I don't even like the guy.
No, yeah, I actually think he'd have a genuine shot because if you look at a lot of the polling with him, Haley, and RFK, he actually cracks like 25%. There's even polls that have him like in second place in that scenario, and Biden only leads him by like what 7 or 8 or 9 points or some crazy something like that. Like, I
Yeah.
think RFK actually have a genuine shot, and RFK has already qualified for the debate right now. So imagine if he qualified
Wait, he
for the
qualified
debate
for the
already.
debate?
You didn't know about this? He averages over 15% nationally. I'm pretty sure he
What he
qualified for the
does?
president.
I'm kind of confused. I let me see if I can,
I'm
because I could
pretty
pull this
sure.
up. I mean, you might be right. I'm not saying you're
Sure, I
not,
saw-
but there's
sure
been
I
a
saw okay, go ahead.
okay.
Go
Well,
look at-
actually, surprisingly, in the three-way polling aggregate, he's at 16.8. Now, I don't think that's going to hold. I think some of these polls are a little too early. I mean, we've seen polls that had Gary Johnson polling at like 15. He ended up like polling at like 5 by the time the debates took place. But
right, but again, Gary Johnson, didn't show up to the debate. But I know I did see a report out there that says that RFK has actually qualified for the debate. And honestly, if RFK qualifies for the debate, the election honestly would basically be up to him. It kind of depends on how he would hit everybody because if he goes after Biden on the you didn't give me you didn't give me Secret Service security and really goes on Biden, then Trump would probably win like 350 electoral college votes at that point. But
well, we'll see. I mean, it's
but if he's still-
possible. I think in
Right.
red states he takes away more from Trump. I think in blue states he takes away more for Biden. I think the real question is in swing states. I still think he takes more away from Biden. I think Trump's base is more loyal, and maybe disaffected Democrats will have a Democrat to choose from, and if he flip flops too much, he'll lose everybody. So. Yeah, I think he probably. I mean, the polls show him taking away from both, but more from Biden. So I think that's what it is. But, anyways, anything else you want to say, and then we'll move on here.
Well, anyways, guys, I really appreciate all the support as of right now. I know a couple of people have subscribed to my channel from the Ready Go Politics channel, so I'm appreciative for all of you guys that already have done so. I just hit 4K as I mentioned earlier. So do you think I could get a shameless plug real quick?
Well, yeah, you can tell them your channel, tell them where to find you.
All right, so basically, On Point Politics on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We just actually hit 4.1K.
Ooh, okay.
Like right now. Yeah, because
Hot
I posted.
content.
Yeah, I got like 7K views today, and I posted like 4 hours ago. I don't know how. So just hit 4.1. Subscribe to On Point Politics on YouTube. I also have a Twitter as well. So that as well. And Lalo's doing the shameless plug there, but it's all good. By the way, Rep, before I leave, I actually talked to Lalo now too.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
actually helping. I'm helping him with his thumbnails.
Yeah, I
now.
could tell on the most recent video. It looked more in your style. But anyways,
Right.
thank you, On Point Politics, for calling in. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We're gonna go to the Verminator, and then we'll do our final call of the night. Verminator, you're on the air. How's it going?
Hey, Rep, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. On Point's kind of a tough act to follow, but I'll try my best.
All right. So, in turn, I don't know if you called into my last stream talking about the confidence level being more so than it was a few months ago, but you can give your input on that if you'd like. But either way, I was mainly this stream. The question revolves around Nikki Haley. Is she in it till the convention? Is she just in it to weaken? Because obviously, it seems like she's just in it to weaken Trump. But at some point, when does the grift end?
I think, I think she's vindictive. I think she stays in until the convention, or really until she I think she's got the DeSantis situation going on as well, where she's got the people around her that are feeding her the bad info. You know, the here's how you can still win, Haley. Like, just stay in until this point, or maybe these convictions will happen, and then you'll skyrocket. You'll get your bounce, and I think she stays in regardless, just in case something happens to Trump, and it's like, oh look, I'm the only candidate.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think that, I don't know, I mean, you might agree with this, but I think it's more than just the people around her. Because, yeah, the people around her are going to confirm it. I'm not going to sit back here and say they aren't, but I really feel as if she's just, because I don't think DeSantis is as, like, evil as Haley, obviously. I think he just has bad advisors. I think he's just a career politician type of guy. Haley is a career politician, but also I think that she's power hungry. I think that she is evil. I think that she's like just doing it to spite Donald Trump and the GOP for not accepting her level of warmongering 2004 Bush era neoconservatism on steroids. I mean, that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. And I think I was really surprised that DeSantis dropped out when he did. Yeah, I regained a lot of respect for my governor when he did that. I thought he was going to stay in longer. I thought he was also going to like take the low road and be like, do this to weaken Trump. And he got out. And I agree with your assessment that I feel like Haley is more so just evil and vindictive. And you can see that in the fact that she's just willing to blatantly lie on camera about things. You didn't really have that.
Yeah, the suckers and losers hoax. She condemned it at the time.
Yeah.
Now she's embracing it. Biden's retweeting her. She's on CNN, MSNBC, goes on SNL of all shows as like their token Republican. I mean, it's clear what she's trying to do. She's becoming a Liz Cheney.
I didn't see that. That was probably miserable.
It was. It was not good.
No, I mean, every policy position she's had, she'll say one thing to one news host about how everybody's got to be verified to use social media, and then she'll tell the next guy, "Oh no, I never said that." And
if she
it's
never
like you
said
think
that,
we're stupid.
Yeah, if she never said that, I think she would have been in second place in Iowa. Actually, she wouldn't be doing well. She'd have zero shot regardless. But she said a lot of things that definitely made a lot of people not just not like her or not support her, but genuinely believe that she is evil, because she is. And I've said it for years. Even when she was working for Trump, I was very critical of her. Even when a lot of people said they'd be open to her 2024, like in 2019, I wasn't as like much of a nationalist or populist or whatever you want to call it that I am now. But even then, I was pushing back on it because I knew that she was bad news. And I feel like I have since then been vindicated. So anyways, thank you for calling in, Verminator. Appreciate it. But we will move on. And we have a lot of super chats that we have not gotten to yet. We're going to get to them right here. Let's see. Sir, thanks a lot. Says Republican cope about Russian aggression will backfire. Well, I've heard that plenty of times before. The same people that talk about you don't know history regarding this conflict will also be the type that were talking at the time about the weapons of mass destruction and all these things taking place. I'm saying we need strong leadership. I feel like if you really want to keep our adversaries or perceived adversaries at bay, or maybe keep the friends close but the enemies closer type of thing, I think you need strong leadership. And we had that. We don't have that now. And that's partially one of the reasons why Putin went into Ukraine. And Putin said that he prefers Biden as president over Trump, although he said he would work with either one. And if Putin, like some people will say he's like trolling or whatever, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, it's true, because if Trump was president, there's no way he would have gone in. I mean, he was trying to make moves on Crimea with Obama as president. But with Trump in office, we got along with Russia, but Trump was tough, but he was friendly and people hated him for it. But no, he was 100% right. We have to put our country interests first. That I will say. Jonathan Williams says, I think Trump announces his VP by late spring. I could see it being May. I think it's going to be June. I think that's usually when it is announced. He's got a lot of deciding to do. My video that I posted, some people, and this is going to be a great question for another stream that I'm going to do, a call-in stream, probably in a couple weeks or so. But about who people want as Trump's VP, and that'll be another great call-in show because I think there's a lot of people that have that opinion one way or another. But yeah, I think he's going to announce it in June. But I released that video. I got a lot of pushback. Not like a ridiculous amount. We only had like 3 to 4% dislike, but you had a lot of people that were like, you ranked Vivek too low, and it's like, I just don't believe Trump's going to pick him. You can maybe think he'd be A tier. I just personally think that electorally speaking, because when you're trying to pick a VP, it's not always about picking a successor. Because if it is picking the successor, then yeah, that would be the road that he would want to go down. But at the end of the day, it's a figurehead position is really what it is. I think Vivek would be probably in a more powerful position if he's going to be in the cabinet doing other things than if he's just going to be, the VP. Like, what input did Pence give on policy? Like, it's a very ceremonial position. Like, that's it. You just need somebody who's not going to stab you in the back, somebody who's not going to fully dilute your agenda, and somebody who might add something to the ticket regarding electoral purposes that gets people on board. So Milky Way Gaming says Biden will hammer Trump on alphabet rights. Yeah, that's not going to work. People don't care about that, and people think Democrats are ridiculously like moronic on that kind of stuff. They want to literally cut the genitals off and mutilate them of children. That's their agenda. They want that legal nationwide, and they seethe when it's not legal. It's an industry. They profit off of it. Donors to the Democrats and even Republicans in some cases, they support that agenda, the medical industry. FM32047 says, with James Craig out, we got to focus on Wisconsin and Nevada. Rosen and Baldwin can go down. Also, Dems giving Gallego way too much credit. He's awful that he makes Mandela Barnes look good. Lake will win. Yeah, I think Lake's got a shot in Arizona. Some people don't. I think she does. I still think Wisconsin's a long shot. I think Michigan it's going to be Mike Rogers. He might not be 100% perfect, but he will be the nominee probably. And I think he will have a shot to win. And I think he probably electorally would be better than Craig. Craig is a good guy, and he was a good police chief for being in the city of Detroit, but he couldn't raise money to save his life. So let's see. Jonathan Williams says something fishy is going on with the polls because of the report. Trump has been stuck since February 13th at 1.1 RCP poll freezes in effect. Maybe. I mean, we know this. Like, not all the polls are not like fake or curated, but they will sometimes not release certain polls because all polls at the end of the day, or most of them, are just internals. And that we know. They skip polls certain cycles. I mean, this is very true. Adam Brand Overby says Alan Lichtman's prediction model is better than polls. Trump is going to win by his model. Foreign policy failure for Biden and more. Well, first of all, I agree with the 13 Keys model. I did an exclusive video on the website for website members about this, but I will say this about the 13 Keys. It's not perfect. It's not perfect in the slightest because Lichtman himself says Biden has like the economy keys when a majority of Americans think Biden's done an awful job in the economy. I don't want to hear about certain metrics because the American people are not feeling them at large. A lot of it's fluff. But Alan Lichtman says Biden's going to win re-election because of the strong economy and no foreign military failure. Despite Afghanistan being the catalyst for Biden's approval rating dropping like 10 points in 2 weeks, it's not a failure apparently. It was just a bad optics look. Like seriously? Like the guy's clearly a partisan hack even if he's been right. He's changed his rules multiple times to fit the model so he can keep his winning streak going. It's like I don't believe his model is the be-all and end-all. Even if Biden does somehow eke out a victory, it's not going to be because of the 13 Keys model. But like, yeah, if you want to go through the keys and you want to analyze them the way that an unbiased observer would analyze them, it's like, yeah, maybe Trump would win under that model. So I do agree with that point. So any other super chats, this will be the last call, and then we could take the last call of the night, no pun intended. So we've been going for an hour and 40 minutes. Like the stream, subscribe if you have not yet subscribed to the channel. We just hit 164,000. Let's get to 165,000. I don't know the exact number we're at right now, but we are getting closer. So it will be the last call for super chats, but I will look in regular chat as well. See what you guys say. Lichtman is nuts. The 13 Keys guy addressed his own criteria in a lame way. I mean, yeah, true. Lichtman as TDS. Even when he said Trump would win, he said Trump would be impeached and removed from office. And while Trump did get impeached on a technicality, he was not removed, and Pence never became president. So overall, Lichtman has a lot of own bias regarding his input, I will say, even if he's been right on certain things. And it's like the incumbency effect. Yeah, but incumbents usually historically have been relatively popular, and Biden's not. So I don't even know if you can turn that key to be a positive thing. I think that Biden's record is a massive negative thing. The economy's in shambles. You could argue the border is a foreign policy failure because technically you're dealing with another country, allowing the country to be invaded by millions of Americans every year. So whichever way you want to analyze things and interpret them, you could easily chalk it up to being very subjective. Mark Robinson chances in North Carolina. He's got a very good chance of victory. Now, North Carolina usually elects Republicans at the presidential level, Democrats at the governor and attorney general level. I think the attorney general is going to flip. Dan Bishop's going to be the AG, which is going to be awesome. And on top of that, Mark Robinson, he's got a very good shot at becoming governor. I mean, I see people comparing him to Mastriano in terms of electoral performance, and the record just doesn't back that up. I mean, the guy raised more money in the first month of his campaign than Mastriano raised in his entire run for governor. Russian Letters says, how would you react if Trump wins the popular vote but loses the electoral vote? I don't believe it's possible. If he's winning the popular vote, he's likely doing really well with Hispanics, and that's probably going to be enough to win Nevada, win Arizona, despite any shift you're going to see to the left with white voters, which I don't think would be by enough. So, yeah, I think Trump is going to have a shot to win the popular vote. Even if he doesn't win it, I still think he could win the presidency, but you would like to have that mandate. You absolutely would. So, okay. Last call of the night, we'll go to none other than the infamous Lalo. Lalo, you are on the air. You are live. How's it going?
It's going fantastic. Good to be back on the show. We have 1,000 people watching, and the lights are now on. And, frankly, one word that we can summarize today's stream is basically the term attrition. Attrition when it comes to this huge $350 million penalty put on our president, Donald John Trump. And why do they do this? There is a conspiracy behind it, of course. They're trying to bleed him dry. You know what this case is about? A lot of people will read the headline and say, wow, they're really screwing Trump. They won't read into the byline. What is it? Well, I read it. This case is basically that him and his beautiful daughter, Ivanka, among others, basically overestimated and basically just kind of raised up the banks for loans. So they said, well, our company's worth more than it is. But they paid back.
Everyone does it. Everyone does it, and they paid it back.
It's like if you're 5'8" and you say you're 5'9". Look, we need to round up, folks. It's a tough economy. In every way you slice it, it's literally the truth. When it comes to Donald Trump, he's selling his version of the Trump Yeezys. Why? In part because he needs to make money off of his brand. Okay. Why does he need to? Some would basically kvetch and say, well, it's kind of tacky. Well, he kind of needs to do these tacky things for money when you realize
they sold that they're trying to bleed him people dry. Bought them.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You might say, well, he'll put the campaign money into this sort of thing, these like bills or whatever. But the truth is that there's a ton of technicalities they're going to screw him on if he uses campaign funds to pay for these. They will lose the nonprofit status for a ton of these groups that fund Trump, basically. And so they're looking for every vector of attack to destroy him. And when it comes to people like Nikki Haley, they're staying in the race on that 2% chance that he does get arrested. They're preying on his downfall, and it's a pathetic thing to watch. And people will say things like Nikki Haley's gonna, kill people. She's gonna start a war. My thing is that I'm actually kind of occupied with the fact that she's mewing. Have you seen her jaw? It's insane to me. And what's more is that we've got a person in South Carolina, her home state, by the way. She, with home field advantage, is losing by upwards of 20 in the polling.
30.
That is untenable.
Upwards of 30, yeah, 30 points. Right. I think it's going to be close to a 30-point win for Trump. Right now, I have it around 65-35. I might change it depending on some data we get with, like, crossover early voting or whatever. But, like, yeah.
Of course. And when it comes to places like Arizona, we see Trump ahead of people like Lake, and we think Lake is going to win. And so it's a very complicated process we've got going on here. But what you'll notice right off the bat when it comes to the way that things are shaking up, this verdict is kind of a sign that he is winning. If he were losing, they wouldn't feel the need to sue him. But they're doing all these petty little things to see what spaghetti sticks on the wall, when in reality, virtually none of it is. And so these are some setbacks, but we're going to bounce back way bigger and better than before. And when it comes to Joe Biden, he's sticking it. Basically, as far as we know, the Newsom bros, we are felt it. It's over for Newsom Chads. I think it's going to be Joe 2024. And you know what that means? It means the opposition is a senile candidate, and that's horrible. And by the way, when it comes to Ryan Cook, rest in piss bozo, we love to see it, folks. Complete SoCal vindication among many others, Rep. I heard your tirade against him. I've seen this guy on election Twitter for too long. The Red Eagle Ops, we call them the election mafia, folks. They're a big problem. Yeah. I mean, it's true.
It's good. It's good to see. It's good to see their demise. I will say, because I mean, we knew this was going on. Maybe we didn't know the age of the people involved until recently, but we know this guy is being creepy on Twitter, and I mean, it's not hard to deduce from just like a 5-second glance at the account. But yeah, it's over. It's over. You screw with me. You try to run my name through the dirt, and then look what happens. It's hilarious. But it's big. It's bigger than me, but I still consider it a victory.
No, it's all about you. No, you're right. Actually, you are kind of like the symptom of the Ryan Cook disease, and he has AIDS, allegedly. Okay, he is
allegedly,
right? Yeah, no, of course. So I'm not going to spec. Maybe he is a virgin. His riz is that bad. He doesn't have AIDS actually as a gay man. Listen, when it comes to Ryan, I really feel like a lot of people that aren't necessarily. I mean, this is really dollar store vouch, by the way. Dollar store,
yeah. It's
dollar store vouch.
Yeah. It just no horses this time. No horses.
Yeah, just teenage boys. It's horrible, terrible. Oh my God, Ryan, what happened to you, buddy? Jesus Christ.
He's always been this way, I guess. I mean, this is not new. It just finally got to the surface.
Right. Now, when it comes to the news, Rep, there's been an important debate among some niche political autists, and I wanted to ask your take.
Okay.
Who would be a better person to run for 24 vice president, Tim Scott or Ben Carson, when it comes to electability for Trump and who you'd want to govern and whatever?
Well, who to govern would be Carson. Carson would be somebody who, even though he may come across like he's half asleep or whatever, I think if he were to actually, because let's say VP is the backup quarterback, right? If he's able to step in, he could perform well. I think he has good intentions. But in terms of his role as VP, it's a very ceremonial position. It's a figurehead. Carson's not likely going to run in 28. He'd be a good fit for the position. Tim Scott electorally, I think Carson is beloved by the base. I think he, maybe the debating would be a question mark. I think Scott would be better in that regard. I think you could debate the electoral argument for it either way or one way or another, but I rank Carson above Scott because I think in the job performance, Carson would be better. Tim Scott, we called him BLM Tim for a while because he, supported all of these social justice, criminal justice reform type things and police reform. And he took the side of BLM on every single case because I don't know, he feels like he needs to prove something, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter. But yeah.
I think Dr. C would be great for the administration. I mean,
every administration could use Dr. C. I think that Trump having Dr. C in the cabinet, Dr. Carson would be great. He was in the cabinet before. He'd be great in the cabinet again. But as VP, I'd be down. I'd be absolutely down. So
he's loyal. We love him.
Yes.
Call him a dog.
He's
loyal. He's Trump's best friend. He's great.
Absolutely.
Dr. C.
Well,
big shout out.
Anyways, Lalo, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And
I will say, I will do my on point politics where I shamelessly shill. If you want more election predictions that are a little more Trump friendly than Reps, I have 226 Republicans winning the House, by the way. So I'm a little more rosy, like the rose gold iPhone. And so subscribe, LaloAZ03. I'll link it in the chat.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye. Okay. That's it for the calls tonight. In terms of super chats, I don't believe we have any more. Okay, we do have one more. Jonathan Williams is not celebrating President's Day tomorrow. Well, there's nothing to celebrate about this president, so that's that much. So, all right, guys, I think we're going to end this stream. Like the stream before you go. Subscribe to the channel if you've not yet subscribed. And I will see you guys in the next one. Video tomorrow. Stream not this Tuesday because I'll be out of town. Stream maybe Saturday. Don't hold me to it for South Carolina. For sure, I will be back on next Tuesday for the primary out of the state of Michigan, where Donald Trump will likely see a massive, massive victory. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Like the stream before you go. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.